Hi guys, this is Kyou. Some people might know me from the NadekoBot support server where I help out sometimes. In this video, I'll be giving a tutorial on how to set up your personal NadekoBot on Windows. Before we start, it's important to know that the bot will only work while your computer is online. It doesn't need a server to execute commands on. In order to keep your bot on 24/7, you'll either need to keep your computer on, have your bot hosted in a VPS such as DigitalOcean. Note that VPSs are usually not free. If you're planning on renting a VPS, you will be using the Linux guide right here, but for this video, we will be focusing on the Windows installation. To start things off, you should go to the NadekoBot documentation site, which I have up on the screen, and there'll also be a link in the description. You start off by going to the Windows guide over here, and it's important to note that you'll need Windows 8 or later. It will not work on Windows 7 or anything before that. You also need Notepad or Notepad++ to edit a text file, and you need to create a bot and invite the bot to your server, which are linked in the guide. So to start off, you should create your Discord bot. Um, and it should link you to a new page that teaches you how to do these things. So to create a Discord bot application, you should log into your Discord and click on this link, which should pull up your My App section. I will be looking at these at the same time since it's good to have the guide handy to reference. So you start off by creating a new app, and you can call this your bot name. Your app description can be anything. You can put whatever icon you want for your bot, and after that, you should create your app. So now we check over to the guide, and we click on Create a Bot User. This makes sure that our app is a bot that can execute commands. So next, you should invite the bot to your server. So um, using this link right here, you should copy that, open a new window, paste it, and replace the 1234567 with your client ID. The client ID can be found on your bot page right here. So you copy that, stick it right in here, and enter. So it should take you to an invite page. So yes, we have our Tamamo bot, and we can add the bot to any server that we have the managed server permission on. As for these permissions, you can turn off administrator, but some commands might not work properly. So I always keep these on. I recommend that you do too. I will be inviting it to this server and authorize. Do the CAPTCHA. Select all squares with vehicles. I don't think a byte counts, right? 9. Does a poll count? Oh no. Alright, it worked. So apparently the poll didn't count. So we see the bot was authorized. It will be in our server now. We can check later. And next we go to download and run the NadekoBot updater. So right here, click on this link. See that there's a handy download button, and open the setup.exe. Right here, we have a security warning. It's safe, even though Uh, it's not trusted. Should install it anyways, because we're good people. We're not putting viruses on your computer. All right. So now, after downloading the updater, close this. We have this updater. So this updater will be how you update your bot to the latest version and also how to install prerequisites, which are over here. They start off by clicking click here to update. And it pulls up the NadekoBot setup wizard. Yeah, you should read this stuff. And you can, the default will be in C program files, but you can choose wherever, but make sure you remember where to put it or it'll cause problems in the future. So next, where should setup place the shortcut? Default should be fine. Just create a desktop shortcut, unless you don't want to, it's up to you. So install. So this installs essentially your bot and all the files associated with it. All right, so we already have the setup guide open, so we don't need to open it again. But you should open the credentials file. It's right here. It opened up automatically because we set it to. And we'll be filling out this information later on in the guide, which is important for getting your bot up and running. So back to the guide. Using the updater, we can fill out these requirements. Um, Install FFmpeg. So we can click on this, install. I already have these two things installed, U2DL, Redis, but you will have to click on these two in order to get your bot functional. So make sure you click on all three of those. So here we go. Now we have our current version, the latest version, it matches, so we have the latest version. And if you click launch the bot, it's going to spell out an error because um, we did not set up our credentials yet. So we should set up our credentials. It's right here. How to set up your credentials file. Click on this. And this is the default location if you didn't change it. But essentially, um, just follow these instructions by the T and it should be up and running soon. So, alright, so we can go one at a time. In your Discord bot applications page, under the app bot user, you'll see token. It's right here, token, not client secret. Make sure you're doing token. So tokens are basically the password to your bot. If you give away your token, anyone can take your bot and essentially steal it. So do not share your token with anyone. I'll be revealing this token since this is a dummy bot, but basically copy this and put it right between the quotes. Next, copy your bot's token. We did that. Getting client ID. Copy the client ID on the page and replace it. So just like before, we copy this and stick that in right here. So we have client ID and token filled out. So for owner IDs, it will be the user IDs of the owners. If you are the owner of a bot, aka your ID is in this box, you can use bot owner commands. So bot owner commands basically give you full access to the bot. You can award flowers and things. So make sure you're in there and only put trusted people, friends, mods in here. So to get the owner ID, you can follow this section, or you can go to basically any server with Nadeko on it and type .uid, and this gives your own user ID. You can copy this, uh, paste it into here, and if you want multiple user IDs, make sure you put a comma after each one. Don't put a comma after the last one. But yeah, so now for API keys. These are optional like the bot says, but if you do not use the Google key, then a lot of your commands won't work. So you should definitely use at least the Google API key. Um, so basically to use the Google API key, follow the guide, go to the Google console. There we go. So so follow the guide, create a new project. There's a nice create project button here. My project name, create. Once the project is created, go into library. Under other popular APIs, enable URL shortener. Other popular API. Right, so we have the URL shortener one down here. Enable this. So enable. Uh, hmm, did it not? Oh, here we go. So, uh, we need the URL shortener API and the custom search API. Can enable this. All right, we have that enabled. And next we can do the URL shortener one since I don't think that went through the first time. Enable that one. Next, under the YouTube APIs, we need YouTube data. So YouTube API, YouTube data, and enable this. Awesome. So back to the guide, we need the Google Maps APIs. So uh, Google Maps geocoding API, and it's this one. We enable this one. And next we need the Google Maps time zone API. And like I said before, these APIs aren't required, but some commands rely on these. So if you uh, use don't have the APIs enabled, they won't work properly. So the time zone one is right here. You can enable it. Awesome. So back to the guide. On the left tab, access credentials, create credentials. Click on API key. and this will be our API key. So now that we have our API key, you should stick that into your Google API key. Um, so here are other API keys. There's Mashape, which is used for Urban Dictionary, hashtags, and Hearthstone card searches. We have the League of Legends API, which is used for all ban, and I think that's it. OC API, CleverBot, if you want your own CleverBot API instead of the default program O, which kind of sucks. Patreon, ignore total shards unless your bot is in more than 1,500 servers, which not many people are. And restart command, not mandatory, it's optional. And awesome, so our API, our credentials should be set up properly. We have our client ID, we have our token, we have our owner ID, which are the three necessary ones, and we have our optional APIs. Google is the most important one in my opinion. And try running the bot again. So back on the desktop, there should be a Nadeko application and double click on it. It's on a different monitor, which is why you can't see it. But after you double click on it, not the updater, just the NadekoBot, it should uh, it should pull this out. You did everything correctly. And after you see you created 1 out of 1 owner channels or created any number out of any number owner message channels, then your bot is now online and working. Owner channel is basically a server that you share with your bot. And since we invited the bot to our server earlier, we have one owner channel. So opening up Discord, and this is the test server that I had. This is me, and over here we have our Tamamo bot. So we can now do commands. And in the console, you will see every command that's executed. If you close this console, your bot will stop working. This is essentially your bot. If you close it, it will die, it'll go offline, and people will be sad. So make sure this stays online, um, which is why computer has to be on for your bot to be working. And if you want to know how to use commands, you can either go to the commands list, which you can type .guide, which gives you the commands list. This takes you to back to the guide's website. And over here, we have the commands list. There's a ton of commands. Quath has been busy adding new ones every version. There's a README for certain information. This is more relevant to the public Nadeko, but it's always good to read the specifics on what you can and can't do. And I already looked at that. So the permission system determines what commands each person or role can use and in which channels you can do them in. So by default, every bot comes with 2 permissions. This which enables commands and this which disables NSFW commands across your server. So it's good to read up on the commands, understand how the hierarchy system works, and definitely be familiar with the permission commands. The important ones, in my opinion, are .lp, which lists your permissions, and yeah, and all of these are important. They all do different things, such as showing whether commands are blocked or determining whether a command is disabled across an entire server or in just one channel. And since you are now a bot owner, you have access to .bce. These are BCE essentially changes the values in the database. So the database is a file that contains all of your bot's information. So you should definitely, if you want to learn how to edit the database directly, which is the file, then you should read this section. You need to have SQL installed, which you can download right here. And if you follow the guide, browse data, you can edit commands. For bot config, you can edit these values, which are also in the database, but if you're too lazy to open up the file itself, you can edit it here. So for currency name, I want to change it to Tamamos. So this overrides the default flower name and changes it to Tamamos. Oh, well, that's not that's not what I was thinking of. But if I want to change the currency sign, change that to Tamamo, and now all my okay. If you want to use a custom emoji, you have to make sure the bot shares a server with your emoji. In this case, it doesn't. But if I can change it to rocket, every flower icon will now be a rocket icon. Back in the console, you can see all the commands that are going through, including who did it, which server it's in, and which channel it's in. But yeah, your Tamamo bot, your NadekoBot, whatever you call it, is now up and running. If you have any other questions, feel free to join the Nautical support server. If you want a shortcut to it, you can type .h, which DMs you right here a link to everything, including the server link. And enjoy your new bot. If you want to host it on a VPS using the Linux guide, you should just follow everything. It's very similar. If you don't have any Linux knowledge, it'll be a little harder, but it's still doable. Should take roughly an hour if you have no experience with Linux at all. It took me about an hour, but it's not too hard. If you already have the credentials in the database, I mean, if you have the credentials set up and the application set up, then you gotta skip some of the steps. But yeah, enjoy. Also, join my fan club. Thanks. Links will be in the description.